Hello, welcome to Almanac North. I'm Darren Danielson along with Julie Zenner. Very glad you're joining us tonight. Julie, there's lots to talk about, so let's get right started. Huh?
All right. Thank you, Darren, and welcome everyone. With the economy struggling, federal stimulus money pouring into state and local coffers is helping put workers back on the job. In Congress, a massive surface transportation bill now under consideration will further strengthen the nation's infrastructure, and it will chart the future of transportation in our country. The chair of the U.S. House Transportation Committee making many of these decisions is Representative Jim Oberstar, a Democrat from Minnesota's 8th Congressional District. And Representative Oberstar, thank you and welcome back.
Thank you, Julie, and Darren. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you're in town celebrating the 50th anniversary of the St. Lawrence Seaway. You just came from that celebration. Last year, Congress passed legislation to help modernize that Great Lakes system and keep it competitive. With shipping down this year, do you think that those investments are really going to make a difference or will pay off in the long run?
We need to make a new start on the St. Lawrence Seaway. I've proposed the creation of a joint international management agency, combine this Canadian Seaway Management Corporation and the U.S. St. Lawrence Seaway Development Corporation into one entity with joint management, reduce the staff, reduce the costs, have one Coast Guard to manage the buoys and the safety and the navigation systems, and we can cut the cost per vessel from $30,000 per voyage to something like $15,000 per voyage, and create with that entity a financing authority that will provide this new international agency with the funds they need to extend the existing locks, to deal with the shortcomings of the Welland locks on the Canadian side, and make our Seaway an internationally competitive entity in a new, renewed international competitive entity in this new era that we're facing, with the soon to be completed second system of locks at the Panama Canal that will allow the 11 to 13,000 container, 1,000-foot vessels to go through the Panama and bring containers into the Gulf and up the East Coast, further diverting traffic away from the rails and from the Canadian railroads north of us. We also have upgrading our seaway system to be competitive with this new international arena. And in the European community, the Transport Ministry has committed to a 2,000-mile canal across the heart of Europe to link the North Sea, the English Channel, and the Black Sea, going through 7 European countries, and bring goods more efficiently from Russia, from the whole interior, the Central Europe, to the North Sea and vice versa, reducing transportation costs, reducing effects on environment. They are honing their transportation system. China has just completed a $200 billion upgrade of their port capacity. Japan completed a $100 billion investment, doubling the capacity of their ports. We need to do the same. We need to stay ahead of the curve and be competitive in the United States. And for that reason, I included in the Water Resources Development Act, vetoed by Bush, we overrode the veto to build a second lock at Sault Ste. Marie.
Mm-hmm. And that lock was authorized by the bill last year, but still has to be funded. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you feel that that the funding will emerge, and when?
I had included funding in our version of the Recovery Act for the final design and engineering and moving to construction of the second lock in our House version of the Recovery Act. It was cut when the bill went to conference with the Senate, but we have money in the regular appropriation bill for the current fiscal year, and that's roughly $19 million that will complete the final design and engineering and allow the Corps of Engineers to go to construction without repayment, without interest, without states contributing cost as the
so it's imminent.
Bush administration had wanted to do.
As we mentioned in the introduction, you're chair of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. You're working on the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Bill, I imagine, already. What are your priorities as you look at the transportation needs for the next 5-6 years for the country?
We're going to have a 6-year authorization bill. We're going to completely restructure the Department of Transportation, restructure the Federal Highway Administration, compress the 108 categories of federal funding down into 4 formula programs, move from a highly prescriptive program to a performance-based program for surface transportation, and require states, together with the U.S. DOT in these 4 categorical areas, to establish 6-year strategic plans with annual benchmarks of progress and reporting publicly to the DOT, U.S. DOT, to our committee, to the Senate committee, so that the public will see what is being done with their transportation dollars. So there'll be annual reporting benchmarks of progress. And we need to create an Office of Intermodalism in the Department of Transportation to bring together all the several modal administrations. They haven't met in 40 years. We're going to make them do that and discuss a national strategic plan and restructure the Federal Highway Administration create an office of project expediting and an office of livability, and move this whole department into the 21st century.
And speaking of the transportation issues, passenger trains, of course, will be a major part of that legislation. Northern Lights Express, of course, will be looking for some of that.